Yes, how are you? How are we? Oh, welcome, spiritual family. Good morning on this beautiful, beautiful day. I welcome you into this circle of consciousness, into this knowing, because today we are knowing for you and I and all of us together that there is a place of inner resilience, that there is a presence and power that moves in and through and as us now, and that this movement of spirit calls us forth this day. Welcome. I'm Reverend Lisa Davis, Senior Minister here at Unity Spiritual Center of Portland. And as we gather, I just know that we create a consciousness of openness, of oneness, of inclusivity, of saying yes to this presence and power of Spirit, that it enlightens us. For any of you who are new this Sunday, we want to welcome you who haven't been here in a while. And just welcome you into this circle of consciousness, this circle of growing. And we look forward at some point to meeting you in person. However, right now, we still know that this consciousness lifts us and moves us forward. If you are not yet on our email list and get our newsletter weekly, I invite you to go to unityofportland.org, our website, click Contact Us, and give us your name and email so that we can share with you what's happening, the events and the activities. And I want to just offer you a few things that are happening. I'll do the regular announcements at the end of the service, but just to let you know, it's the last week, it's the second week and the last week to join the small groups if you'd like to from these services. How then shall we live? And you can email administrator@unityofportland.org. We have a new class starting, White Fragility. It'll be Mondays, 6 to 8 p.m., starts July 6th. And you can also email administrator@unityofportland.org. I'll share a lot more about that at the end of the service. Thank you for all of our wonderful non-perishable food items that are donated for the 60 boxes, which are made weekly and delivered to the houseless students at the transitional school and their family. We're still accepting those donations Tuesday and Wednesdays, 12 to 4. That's ongoing. And thank you for the donations to this ministry. What a gift. And allowing us to continue this ministry and this movement of consciousness. We are so blessed. And so as we move into an opening prayer and a meditation, I just invite you to go into your heart space, to the remembering of the truth of who you are, who we are, and taking that sacred breath.
Return to me, return to me, with every breath, return, and then begin with me, with every breath, return.
Return to me as we quiet our minds and relax our bodies. We breathe in this sacred breath. Return to me. An awareness, a knowing that within my being, the hidden wholeness of the universal presence resides. Continuing to relax into this knowing, to this greater understanding, I say yes. With each breath, there is a remembering. Return to my awareness, the understanding of the innate knowing that I am enough. I breathe that in. The innate knowing that I am love. I am life. There is a cellular knowing that the light, the vibrant light within me, never diminished, never less than whole, this infinite light resides as me now. It vibrates through every cell, every tissue of my body. And I rest in this knowing, this vibrating knowing that I know that I know that I am whole in the silence, in the silence. As I continually allow that sacred remembering, a returning of my attention to the wholeness within my being that lives within me and as me and is all around me, I recognize that it's within every being. It's within everything that happens around me. There is that life, that light, that presence, that power, and that vibrant movement of spirit happens as me this day, this breath, this moment. And I know the blessings of this spiritual journey and this sacred path. And I am so grateful. And so it is. Amen.
I return to love. I return to love with every breath. I return to love. I am and begin with love. With every breath I return. I it was my choice. I want to know if I had something to say. I used my voice. I don't want to wake up a little too late and say that I could have done this or I could have done that. When I close my eyes at night, I want to know that I'm doing the best I can. When I'm sitting there in my rocking chair, looking at my life, I hope to God I would have done something good with my life. At the end of the day, I can only pray that I can look back and say, it was my life. Yeah, my life. I lived my life. Yeah. Don't want to take my father's path. I gotta make my own. Don't want my epitaph to read. Wish they could have known me. Don't want that carved in stone. I wanna leave this place with a smile on my face, knowing what's in my heart didn't stay in my heart. And whatever heaven gave me, I wanna know that I gave it all back. Yeah, when I'm sitting there in my rocking chair, looking at my life, I hope to God I would have done something good with my life. At the end of the day, I can only pray that I can look back and say, oh, it was my life. Yeah, my life. I lived my life. Yeah, my life. Wanna be an open book. Say I gave more than I took when I leave this place with a smile on my face. It was my life. Yeah, my life. I lived my life. Oh, it was my life.
Wow. That is so beautiful. Reverend Sidney and Charles Steen, I am so blessed to have both of you with us this morning. My life. Do we have the courage right now, wherever we are along this journey, to recognize that each of our lives is a movement of spirit? That as we gather and we look within at what's happening, we could say some of the things of our journey this week. This worked, this didn't work. I watched this on television and I And I was aghast at what I saw. I don't like this. This makes me feel uncomfortable. This is moving. This isn't the way I like it. I want to see my grandkids. I want to see my kids. I want to see. There's so much happening right now. And yet, when we're here this morning and we're willing to open our hearts to the movement of Spirit, I believe that we open to changes and ways of seeing them that are larger. We're in our second week of a 7-week program, How Then Shall We Live? It's a sacred journey of life. And every week we're looking at some questions. Last week's question is just, who am I? Just who am I? And we use Thomas Merton's idea of a hidden wholeness, that within every one of us, there's a hidden wholeness. And it's full, and it's complete, and it has all that it needs. And we're not leaving that idea. A lot of us would like to live our lives in the idea of our hidden wholeness and just focus on that. But what's happening around us? This week, we're going to the next topic. It's still part of who am I? But it says, how is my shadow my teacher? And we're going to talk about the sacred shadow. Part of the answer, who am I, depends on our answer of who am I when life is tough and it hurts and we don't like what's happening. And we can even say why it was wrong and who did it and who's responsible. But I invite you right now, individually and collectively, for us to take a global breath of breathing in this sacred opportunity we have right now to look at shadows, to look at our own shadows, and to allow these ideas, the individual and collective shadows. And I don't think there's many of us right now who wouldn't agree that racism is one of our collective shadows, and that we have individual shadows. And somewhere in there are answers and a movement forward of Spirit. Tagore said, after you had taken your leave, I found God's footprints on my floor. After we're through those shadows and we've allowed our wounds, the wounded places we have, to heal us, we find an awareness of, oh my goodness, this was God, this was Spirit. It was lifting me and teaching me and moving me forward. But most of the time, when we're in it, we are ready to fight. We're mad, we're angry, we're hurt. And whatever way we have of responding to our hurt, maybe it's eating, maybe it's Netflix, maybe it's anger, maybe it's whatever it is. That's what we do. We do it out here, hoping that we don't have to change in here. And right now, we have had this perfect formula, and I do not believe it's by chance, for looking at shadows and breathing it in and finding a larger story. I love Wayne Muller's writing and his books, the sacred way that he works with it, ideas. If you haven't gotten one of these, I just invite you to. I think they're about $5 used on so many different sites. But this idea of, is there a little more sacred way to live? Is there a little more real way to live? To be within humanity and to find something more. Because our stories and our lives shift us and move us. And, he says, while it's true that sorrow alone is incapable of defining our essential spiritual nature, we must acknowledge that our sorrows inevitably give shape and texture to our existence. And this is what we're hearing a lot right now. Well, my lived existence is different than your lived existence. And we hear that, and that it's accurate. Our lived experience is different. And I want us to look at that in our journey I've had so much privilege in my life journey that it was only the last decade or so that I even realized I had white privilege and what it did, and my experience, my lived experience. And so many of us are catching up right now. And if you haven't had the courage yet to look deeper into that and find out where you are within that, it has a lot to do with healing your wounds and finding who we are collectively. And I believe that with all of my heart that individually and collectively our stories and our interpretations of these stories, whether they're interpreted as teachers for us and way showers and things that will lift us and teach us, or they're experiences that are against us and something is happening to us, will determine how far we go in the evolution of humanity and ourselves. And so if you are on this journey and saying, but it's already hurting over here, and this wound hurts, and this wound hurts, I just invite us to open to a larger idea. Because within humanity's suffering, all of ours, individually and collectively, there is a grace, there is a presence, there is a life. And right now, we have to look seriously at our journey and where we are. You know, Paul Levy, his work on wounds as the path to awakening. And he actually lives here in Portland, Oregon. And his idea, he said, you know, right now we are in an utterly weird, amazing and frightening time that we're living through, because it's this platform for all of our wounded places to come up. And he said, maybe this is just me, but I have an intuition that this is an archetypal, impersonal, and universal situation. It's happening. And he said, our wounds are semi-stable resonance patterns of vibratory energy to which we have become accustomed as existing in a particular way. We have individual wounds, shadows that they are within us. They're patterns, individual ones. We've become accustomed to where they are, and often we can hold them down long enough. It still takes our energy, but we hold them down, and they're in place, and we know we're good people, and we move forward. And then there's collective shadows and wounds. And racism is one of them. And up until now, we were able to kind of keep it down. In Portland, it's called polite racism. And we're good people, and we don't see color, and we go forward, and we look out there. And so those wounds were staying where they were. A pandemic happens. This is an offering for humanity to go within themselves. Look at the archetype. Go in your home and stay there. And think. Allow, not much to do, not much interaction. Just be there. Many people without jobs. And then an event happens out here. Part of that archetype. And this wound, the collective wound that is keeping America in poverty, comes up. And we have an opportunity to look at it again. Now, where do we go? Wayne Muller says, whenever I become aware of suffering, I invariably feel myself in the presence of something both sacred and deeply human. Something fundamental and true that offers a glimpse into the nature of all things. Ironically, perhaps, it is in those who have suffered in their journeys of healing and courage that I have perceived most clearly the miraculous, breathtaking resilience of the human spirit. Don't ever think you don't have what it takes to get through your individual wounds and your collective wounds. And evolution is moving forward because it's asking us to do both of those at the same time. Most of us say, okay, fine, put all my individual ones over here and let them sit, please, and I'll work on this one. But I can't do both at the same time. Guess what life says? The evolutionary impulse of this planet says, here, let me help you. And that's just what's happening. Now, do we have the courage to know that within sorrow there is grace. When we come to the things that break us down and break us open, are we allowing that? Can we uncover a deeper part of ourselves and find maybe a softness and a part that we didn't always understand that allows more compassion and more caring and a deeper understanding that I'm a part of humanity? And maybe, just maybe, my lived experience is different than your lived experience. And so when this happens out here and somebody's angry or somebody's mad or somebody does this, I don't have to fight the expression, whether it is looting or it is someone getting mad at us, really angry over something we've said. Instead, I have a little bit of compassion. Wayne Muller, again, he says, in the breaking open, we uncover our true nature. And within the stories, within what happens, there is the person in the story. And the word person comes from the Latin personare, which means sounding through. Sounding through. There's an emptiness, a hollowness through which our experiences may pass without ultimately defining us. Our life, our experiences, our joy, and our sorrows can sound through us without naming us. If up until now you have named yourself by your wounds, I would invite you to begin again in saying, "Who am I?" And to recognize instead a part of the hidden wholeness. And I'm a part of humanity, these souls that have said yes to an evolution of spirit and a movement forward that agree as we embody. We think we didn't. We think we say, no, I came into New Thought. I think positively. That's the end of the difficulties. So I've got all these tools. But the truth is, when we embodied here on this planet, we said yes to being a part of humanity and the evolution of consciousness that happens on this planet individually. So that means within our lives, things will happen. And our ability not to keep those wounds under the surface, rather like we're stuffing a beach ball under the water in a pool and holding them down, and they become these resonating patterns here. And we hope they never come up. Right now, they're coming up, and it hurts. And I have talked with people who it is coming up from 2 years old, 5 years old. And we just keep hoping that I can control my environment enough that I keep all of that down. What happens if it breaks loose? What happens if instead we go back and we say every one of these experiences can go through me without naming me? Instead, I am a creation of spirit that is compassion. I learn compassion. I am a creation of spirit that is connection. I learn a part of humanity. I am infinite, not walled off, but a part of something more. And it hurts, and I go to my knees, and I move to a place of humble, of being teachable. What remains and he said, this is the point of healing. When we have told the story, we can leave the story behind us. It sounds through us. We don't live from it and say, hi, this is who I am. This has happened, this has happened, this has happened. What remains is a hidden wholeness, alive and unbroken. It's the resilience of the human spirit expressing as you. The spirit of life. You are the universe in ecstatic motion. It's the ecstatic motion of the universe celebrating that journey. But it can be tough. It can be really tough to go through there and to look at that. And our pain is something that it can be so uncomfortable. And he says, even in the midst of the most horrible anguish, the most unimaginable loss and suffering, the light shines, the spirit remains. Now, we're being asked right now to go to the edge of our wounds, and they're different right now if you're black or you're white. And we're being asked to go to the edge of our wounds and to have the courage to touch the doors. The difficult part, if you're white right now, is that we were raised, many of us, in a time when it was not polite to see color. And so these underlying systems of racism that will move and change, that's why it's so difficult to undo it. They will move and change with the times. They are underground. And one of them was just be a good person and don't see color. Don't participate, and you aren't a part. And now, the part of us that says, I'm this, I'm white, I'm good, I'm all these ideas out here, that has to break down for us to feel the inner wound of racism. We have to let it break open. And he said, not only are we strong enough to bear the pain we're given, but our sorrow can actually become a bridge to a deeper and richer life. And so we have to do the individual ones at the same time. I remember hearing, evolution is speeding up, and they've kept saying this every spiral dynamics class I've taken, and the ones I've taught. We've looked at this idea that evolution continues faster and faster, and for a long time you could do the individual evolution. It was so nice. You could be a truth seeker. You could work on yourself. You could work on these pieces, and nothing else really got into that world. Now we're being asked to work on ourselves and on the collective whole together, and it's worth it. But it takes a breaking down of the walls. And so am I willing to say, whoa, I'm white, and it brings tears to my eyes to say it, I'm racist, because I grew up in a system where that was the norm. And I have the ability with every action I take to take an anti-racism action, or to just not do anything, which is actually, now I know, racism. I have to participate in humanity. Because when I say over and over again, Ram Dass's statement, we're just all walking each other home, I have to participate in humanity. And I have to be open enough. And many times in our lives, we've been so quick to use diagnosis as to who we are individually. Well, I'm this. Oh, good. At least I know who I am. Then I can work on it. Instead of listening to our hearts and our true nature, and there's something more happening here. And if I can explode out there at something somebody says, oh, they added this, or they did this, or this is wrong, instead of finding out what's really happening, then I can feel like I'm keeping myself safe. We will be taught every moment of every day. And we get to have the courage to allow that to happen. I want to share with you something here that is from Wayne Muller. And, this idea of who am I and our wounds, when we look at it, and I hope this is the one, yes. The Pueblo Indians descend into a kiva to pray for the whole world, because when they're in that kiva, they feel the heartbeat of Mother Earth. They feel themselves to be part of the whole world. In the Christian tradition, monks retire to their cells and pray for all creation, because in the quiet and deep silent prayer, they feel the breath of the world. And when they pray from that place, they're breathing that breath of God. And we're the breath of God, and we get to move into this. And then he goes on and he says, Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you. The original Greek, entos hieron, can be correctly translated as either within you or among you. So perhaps there is a deliberate and allowable and even desirable ambiguity about the sense of I and the location of the inner kingdom. We are inside and outside. That kingdom is within us and around us. And Meister Eckhart reminds us that there's a constant dialogue between the kingdom that we hold within us and the spirit that flourishes in the world around us. You see, we can't anymore say, I am whole, and participate where there's a system that doesn't see the wholeness in another. And that can be so difficult. And it can be scary to go into our wounds. The most used phrase, according to Wayne Muller, and it appeared to be true when I kept researching it, 360 to 365 times it is argued, be not afraid. Be not afraid. Now, if you think of who was writing this, and I love the way he puts it, he said that this phrase that was used and was written and that comes from there was by people who were persecuted. They were not thinking, nothing's going to happen to me. They were killed. They were trying to share a message that was not popular. They were persecuted, they were attacked, and yet that kept coming out. It doesn't mean be not afraid because nothing will happen to you. There is an idea that what would happen if instead of fear and living as this ball of fear, we allowed ourselves to know there's a hidden wholeness within myself and humanity. And there's a larger story unfolding. And you can find it in Buddhism, and if I could find my place in here, I would. I know Buddha said, wonder of wonders, intrinsically all living beings are Buddhas, endowed with wisdom and virtue. But because men's mind have become inverted through delusive thinking, they fail to perceive this. They fail to see that largeness. So what is this largeness? How do we do it? Jean Vanier, the founder of L'Arche Communities for the Developmentally Disabled Adults, speaks about what happens in close community. And I want you to think about this in communities such as churches and organizations you belong to, in families, and in also our larger community. Community can appear to be a marvelously welcoming and sharing place, but in another way, community is a terrible place. It's the place where our limitations and our egoism and our wounds are revealed to us. When we get close to others on an ongoing basis, we discover our poverty, our weaknesses, our inability to get on with other people, our mental and emotional blocks, our seemingly insatiable desires, our frustrations, jealousies, and he goes on and on. All of our stuff comes up. And while we're alone, we believed we loved everybody. Now that we're with others, we realize how incapable we may be up until now. And I'm putting up until now. He said how incapable we are of loving, how much we deny life to others. So community life can often bring a painful revelation of our limitations. The unexpected discovery of the monsters within us is hard to accept. The immediate reaction we have is to try to destroy the monsters, or to hide them away again, pretending they don't exist, or to run from the community life and relationships within it, or to decide and prove that the monsters are theirs, somebody out there. But if we accept that the monsters are there, we can let them out and learn to tame them. That is growth towards freedom, towards liberation. In community life, we discover our own deepest wound and learn to accept it. So our rebirth can begin. It is from this very wound that we are born. It's from those wounds that we are born, the truth of it. Paul Levy went on to say, we don't cure our wounds, they cure us. And I'm going to talk about this Wednesday at 12:30 on our spirit break, and also Friday. I've decided some of these unused pages, we're going to move into that. And so I just want to take one moment and talk about the truth principle within this. We've talked a lot about wounds. Know that right now, for some reason, the whole universe has conspired to bring yours to the surface. You're going to feel frustration and hurt and fear. And we might be able to stay positive thinking right over the top of it. But I'm asking you instead to allow the truth that you know to stay present, to know that your human spirit is more than any of these, and then to hold them and allow them to come up and expand you. Reverend Ken Gordon, I loved hearing his one of his talks through the Association of Global New Thought this week, and for years he was the head of the Centers for Spiritual Living, and he said, we've been asking for a world that works for all for many years. We have asked to end racism and find a way of including others even. I think I added that part. And we've thought maybe that somehow angels or something would just bring peace. If we could just pray and we could practice truth and, practice all these ideas. Spirit gave us what we wanted, just not in the way we wanted it. How many times in your life have you prayed to see, set an intention to see something larger? And then something happens and you feel blindsided and it hurts. And so you turn around and hurt somebody else or yourself or another thing because of it. Spirit gave us what we wanted, just not in the way we wanted it. It showed up as a pandemic, a time to rest, get quiet, contemplate. It brought up our wounds, our discomfort. Wait a minute, that's not what I asked for. This is the divine, though, showing up in our lives. This is the time to allow change to happen within us and open ourselves in a possibility. But as I close, I want to just say, imagine ourselves in a balloon. You're inside of a balloon, and that balloon is your consciousness. And it's there. And its consciousness is a sum total of our beliefs, both conscious and unconscious beliefs. So here we are, rolling around in this bubble of consciousness, and I'm talking individually for a moment. And we just hope, we always try to get something, reaching outside and grabbing a hold of something to bring it inside the balloon that will solve what we need. That's not the way that this works, is what Ken Gordon said. He said, the way the universe works is it acts upon what we hold to be true, what we believe to be true in our unconscious and conscious thoughts. And here we are. We have this wound of racism collectively. We have all these other wounds individually. And then what the universe does is it doesn't come from us being able to grab it out there and bring it inside. It comes from us expanding and growing and becoming large enough to encompass that which we want. So this whole journey right now is about you opening your heart, opening your being, allowing this breaking open to happen. Every one of us, you are an infinite creation of spirit. Your wounds have come to cure you individually, and collectively as humanity, our wounds have come to cure us. So my invitation this week as we move throughout this journey is to open our hearts to that journey, to what is happening. Learn what your part is. Learn where you are and allow it. Allow from the sanctuary of your soul, allow the awakening, because you are a part of the evolution of humanity, and we are walking each other home. Thank you. Oh, I need to do something. I'm waiting for music. I'm just waiting. We are doing our love offering. As we hold a space, I invite you to be a part of the giving consciousness within this community. It's been wonderful. Thank you for all of the gifts. I invite you to continue that process. Right now, we're using PushPay. Many of you are sending in checks. Thank you so much. On PushPay, we would invite you to join the regular giving, that automatic giving that's available there, that just repeats itself whether or not you're able to join in with us. But you text to 77977, one word, Unity of Portland, all lowercase, and that is what we're doing. And for just a moment, for a blessing, as we bless humanity, we bless our world, we bless the innate knowing and the evolutionary energy of love that rises through us. We say yes. We know that divine love heals us, it expands us, it moves through each of us now, and it is an innate energy that lives as us this day. And we are so blessed, and so it is. Amen.
We can change the world one heart at a time. We can change the world one heart at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me. We can change the world one heart at a time. We can change the world, oh, one thought at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me. My heart is open to love. My heart is ready to love you, 'cause you can change the world. Yes, you can, one heart at a time. I know you can change the world, oh, one heart at a time. I see you, I know you, you're a part of me. My heart is open to love. My heart is ready to love you. We can change the world one heart at a time. We change the world one heart at a time.
We do change the world one heart at a time, hearts opening, hearts remembering the truth of humanity, of an openness that all of us have come to live as peace, in peace, as one. And we are so blessed. Thank you for being a part of this movement of spirit. In just a moment, I'll do our closing prayer. Afterwards, I'll go into the announcements and what's happening more extensively, and a few other ones that are happening. But I just invite you this week to open your heart. There's a hidden wholeness in you, and it lives through you and as you now. And in these times, it's saying, yes, you are ready, you are infinite, and here is the healing. We close with our unity prayer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God literally moves through us. It washes over us. It lives as us. And wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Amen. And are we, okay, we're going into the announcements. I'm still remembering this. This is the last week to join a small group. If you haven't had the opportunity yet, please do it now. You can contact administrator at unityofportland.org, and you can get into a small group. We've got 4 of them going on there. It's a wonderful opportunity to talk about some of what's happening here. There'll be 6 more meetings, so look at that today. The new class, White Fragility, taught by Amanda Kassab, will be Monday evening, starts July 6th. The suggested love offering is $100. That is a sliding scale, so we do not want anyone to miss that class. It's an important part of this journey of learning. It is as we step up and open into something more. So that please email administrator@unityofportland.org to sign up for the class. Administrator@unityofportland.org. If you do not have a book and you feel you are not able to, I will personally make sure that you have one. We have 20 on order, and I will give you one. I am happy to do that. You need to, again, contact administrator@unityofportland.org, and yes, you will have to show me that you have read it. So just to let you know, I am really looking forward to us as a community being awake and aware. Our spring community outreach has made a huge difference in the community of houseless teens and children from the transitional school as they move through this time this summer. The preparation of 60 boxes happens every week. They're delivered to these families, and the non-perishable foods like mac and cheese, popcorn, peanut butter, tuna, trail mix, beans, rice, applesauce, and we still ask for regular size shampoo. We're collecting that at the back door here at Unity of Portland, Tuesdays and Wednesdays between 12 and 4. You can also donate if you'd rather on Push Pay. There's a thing there, 77977. And you can use Unity of Portland, all one word, lowercase, to do that. The camps for all different ages of youth through this region, several of them have happened, but our Youth of Unity camps have not. The international conference, for the first time, is going to be online, and it's open to every teen. And I would just invite you, it's $25. These camps are usually about $1,000 just at the village besides airfare. Right now, those are open, and you can register. Unity Worldwide Ministries. If you have difficulty finding, let us know. You can email youthed@unityofportland.org. And our Sunday mornings are still going on. The youth and family ministry teachers are doing different days. It's a wonderful opportunity for your youth. So please, again, contact youthed@unityofportland.org. The Spirit Break happens, I do a Facebook Live every Wednesday and Friday at 12:30. It's 10 to 15 minutes of just looking at a piece of spirit, an idea. And please be sure to join us for our meditations Sunday mornings at 9:30. Our Coffee and Connection begins in just a moment after the service. The Zoom link is in the newsletter and on the Facebook you've been watching, and we just invite you to be a part of this movement of spirit and of Unity Spiritual Center of Portland as we expand, grow, and love.